muskie fishing is just it's a continually learning process. Everybody understands that if you throw bucktails on weed flats in many lakes, you're going to get muskies. And in my early days of muskie fishing, we were working down the weed edge of North Twin Lake, one of the very popular muskie waters in northern Wisconsin. It's got some big fish in it too. Well, we had the person on the bow of the boat was chunking a bucktail up in the flat to kind of sweep the flat clean. And then we had the guy in the middle of the boat. This guy was throwing a big double buzz to keep it up over the weeds. The guy working the deep weed edge kind of had a bucktail. He was dropping it down the edge and bringing it through. And I was in the back of the boat, kind of in the what would be the odd man out position, so to speak. And I was throwing a deep diving crankbait, and I was chunking it right down that weed line, dragging that deep weed edge, dragging that deep weed edge. And for some reason, we got into an area where I saw a bunch of suspended baitfish breaking the surface. And don't ask me why. It's one of these weird things that happens to everybody so often. I turned around and I fired a cast out to the middle of the lake. I mean, you know, 50, 60, 70 feet off the weed line. The lure hit the water and boom, yeah, it happened, a 25-pound muskie. I mean, I was absolutely amazed. But you know, that really opened my eyes. And I think the more I've learned about suspended fisheries and the fact that muskies do suspend out over open water and many times a long way from any structural element, recently we caught a fish 15 foot down over 68 foot of water. And I think the next breakthrough is going to be the suspended fishery. I know it really opened my eyes.
Fish! There he is!
Okay, what do we got there, Dick? Aha!
All right. Whoa. Boy, is he hot. He's got that crankbait crossways in his mouth. He looks like he's hooked pretty good. He's right off the deep weed edge. Yeah, he's hooked. Whenever you catch fish on a crankbait, you want to make darn sure that they're hooked properly, because sometimes that line or the leader will roll around and the fish will make a charge and you'll break them off.
Sura the muskie master.
I like to wear a glove when handling these things. I've been hurt really bad handling muskies, so whenever you're handling one, be real careful, especially with crankbaits.
You know, I'm going to keep on casting. You know, Dan, it wasn't so many years ago that the public believed that only one muskie ruled and reigned in an area, and that was the sole fish for the area. Today we know better. There's probably more fish right here working with that other one.
You know, fishing crankbaits for toothy critters is a very, very productive way of eliminating water, and you can catch fish spring, summer, and fall. And amazingly, we're fishing some cold water right here. The temperature is in the 40s, and we're still catching these critters on crankbaits. And there's a few things you can do to put the odds in your favor. And today we're going to show you how to catch muskies and northerns on crankbaits.
You know, Dan, I threw a marker right as you hit that fish. You were fighting them down, but the marker's back on the spot there.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. And picking the proper crankbait for toothy critters, you want to take a couple things into consideration. One, the depth of water you're fishing and any available cover. Early in the season or for shallow water fish, you're probably going to be up in less than, say, 6 feet of water. You want to use a bait with a small lip on it, say something like a minnow bait. And then as you get out deeper on the flats, let's say 6 to 10 feet, you want to use a mid-depth running bait, something with a small diving lip on it. And as you drop off deeper into the depths and you're working the deeper edges and maybe deeper sunken humps, you want a deep diving crankbait. And it's basically that simple. Just consider the options, the depth of the fish you're at, pick the bait that runs at the proper depth, and get the proper speed, you're going to get bit.
We're fishing here for toothy critters, pike and muskie. And what we're doing is with these big crankbaits is making contact with the cover. In this case, green cabbage weeds. What we do is you hit them like right there, and she kind of loads up and you kind of rip loose. That ripping loose a lot of times can be the trigger for these fish.
Boat positioning is critical when you're casting lures. Ron and I happen to be fishing an isolated patch of cabbage, and what I'm doing is I'm positioning the boat on the deep edge of the cabbage, and I'm casting parallel to the structure, and Ron is kind of cleaning off the lip and up on top a bit. It maximizes our fishing time and gives us the greatest potential of bringing the fish out. Keep them up.
Yeah.
Keep them up.
Yeah, it's right off that marker. Same place.
How big is it, Ron?
I can't tell, Dan. There he is.
Let me see him.
It's about the same size as the other one. I told you they're
Oh,
were
that's a
twin.
nice fish, Ron. Yeah, it's a
Nice
beauty.
twin pairs. Look at that marker right off to the left. Okay. All right, let me fight him back here. Get ready with the...
I'll get him, Ron.
Okay, he ain't hooked that good. It's not a big one. Why don't we just give it a land here?
I learned my lesson already once this year. This bimini twist helps too.
Yeah.
Got him.
You know, Dan, you take care of the fish there. I'm throwing right back up into there. I ain't even gonna wait. There's more fish.
I'm gonna put this baby back in the water right away. There you go. One thing I like to do with crankbaits too is you match your retrieve to the attitude of the fish and the water temperature. We happen to be fishing fairly late in fall right now. Water temperature's in the 40s, so I'm not really trucking it. I'm giving it a little pop. Notice, dragging it, kind of a stop and go with a lot of attracting and triggering qualities rather than just a straight speed approach.
There's a lot of theories with muskies and pike and color. What we're basically running here is baits that mimic the available forage. A perch, or in the case here, we've got a natural shiner kind of mimics. This is a red horse, and this would be some sort of perch type pattern. And this would, again, would be a shiner or a minnow type.
Got him. Hit right under the boat. Good fish. Right on the weed edge. Here he comes, here he comes. Here he comes. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. There we go. Oh, it's going nuts here. Oh, I love it.
You know, for a guy that doesn't call himself a muskie man, you've been absolutely dangerous lately.
Ron, I'll grab her. I can get her. I gotta get that glove. Now you know why we love to fish toothy critters with crankbaits, because they really love to chew on them. Be a little careful here getting near the boat.
You need some help there, Dan?
No, I'm okay, Ron.
I gotta run.
Look at that, Ron. Hey, folks. Whew. Listen, do crankbaits work for toothy critters? Holy moly, do they ever. And the beauty of fishing crankbaits, I think what we showed you today, is all you've got to do is match the crankbait to the depth you're fishing and the cover conditions, and you're going to get bit. Look at that. Whew, what a muskie.